think you could get elected in Texas being anti-gun?
Do I think I could get elected in Texas being anti-gun?
When I say him, I mean
He rambles.
Trump.
Yeah.
He tends to just.
But can I mention one thing?
Okay. Because contractually,
Yes.
when you make a movie, regardless of who you sign the deal with,
Yes.
your job is to go and promote said movie.
It looks like The View is under fire again, and this time, none other than Hollywood icon Matthew McConaughey is calling them out, claiming that the show is pushing Diddy and Oprah's agenda.
One thing about if me in politics is to give you a direct statement right there is you playing a game that I'm not interested in playing.
Okay.
To give you a direct statement right there.
Whoopi Goldberg's recent controversial antics have already left audiences raising their eyebrows, and now Joy Behar's close relationship with Oprah is sparking serious questions.
Oprah Winfrey. I'm not a bad guy. I'm just an honest guy that says, hey, I like Oprah Winfrey or Joy Behar's.
Is there more going on behind the scenes at The View than meets the eye? Is McConaughey onto something, or is it all just Hollywood drama? Let's dive into the juicy details. Matthew McConaughey has never been one to shy away from voicing his opinions, but this latest move has fans and critics buzzing. According to insiders, McConaughey has grown increasingly frustrated with The View's recent episodes, claiming the show has shifted its focus from honest conversations to promoting certain agendas. And whose agenda, you ask? None other than Diddy and Oprah Winfrey's.
What's horrible?
What's
when,
horrible
when the president
is
of the
we
United
fund
States
sanctuary
whips up
cities.
people to beat the hell out of people.
Rumors are swirling that The View has been subtly endorsing ideas tied to Diddy's ongoing business ventures and Oprah's media empire. Some fans have pointed out the noticeable increase in topics aligning with these two powerhouses' interests, while others argue it's pure coincidence. But for McConaughey, it's all a little too convenient. And recently, one of their hosts admitting they voted for Trump? That's like tossing a lit match into a room full of fireworks. You just know Whoopi Goldberg probably went full-on meltdown mode backstage. I mean, this is the same Whoopi who's been leading the anti-Trump charge on the show for years.
This is what irritated him. Not what's going on.
Right.
Hurricanes,
Right.
there's all
Right.
kind of stuff going on in our country. But we irritated him.
But let's be real, this isn't the first time The View has seriously dropped the ball. Remember when Whoopi tried to rewrite history on live TV? Back in early 2022, she claimed the Holocaust wasn't about race, but man's inhumanity to man. Yeah, that went over like a lead balloon. The backlash was instant, fierce, and totally justified. She had to apologize and was even hit with a 2-week suspension. People were left scratching their heads, wondering how someone could say something so insensitive and clueless on such a huge platform. Reports say ABC News called her comments wrong and hurtful, and that's putting it lightly.
The Holocaust isn't about race.
No.
It's not about
maybe
race.
ethnicity.
It's about
a different race.
But it's not about race.
Whoopi's suspension came just a day after her controversial remarks on The View, where she claimed the Holocaust wasn't about race. Despite apologizing later that day and again on the following morning's show, her comments sparked outrage and condemnation from Jewish leaders. The discussion started over a Tennessee school board's decision to ban Maus, a Pulitzer Prize-winning graphic novel about Nazi concentration camps. During the debate, Whoopi claimed the Holocaust was not about race, but man's inhumanity to man. Her comments ignited a deeper conversation about misconceptions surrounding the Holocaust, Jewish identity, and anti-Semitism. Kenneth L. Marcus, chairman of the Louis D. Brandeis Center for Human Rights Under Law, pointed out that her remarks reflect a broader misunderstanding about these issues and the misguided idea that only people of color can experience racism. In her error, she was reflecting a misunderstanding of Jewish identity that is both widespread and dangerous, that is sometimes described as erasive anti-Semitism, said Marcus, who is the author of The Definition of Anti-Semitism. It is the notion that Jews should be viewed only as being white, privileged oppressors, he said. It denies Jewish identity and involves a whitewashing of Jewish history. Marcus referred to the use of anti-Jewish stereotypes about being powerful, controlling, and sinister, coupled with downplaying or denying anti-Semitism. On The View, Goldberg, who is black, had expressed surprise that some Tennessee school board members were uncomfortable about nudity in Mouse. I mean, it's about the Holocaust, the K-ing of 6 million people. But that didn't bother you, she said. If you're going to do this, then let's be truthful about it. Because the Holocaust isn't about race. No, it's not about race. She continued on that line despite pushback from some of her fellow panelists. The U.S. Holocaust Museum in Washington responded to Goldberg with a tweet. Racism was central to Nazi ideology. Jews were not defined by religion, but by race. Nazi racist beliefs fueled genocide and mass murder, it said. On Twitter, there were several calls for Goldberg's firing. Although she managed to avoid losing her job at the time, that wasn't the only situation that her show brought into her mess. The View has long been criticized for its one-sided political views, but let's talk about the toxic racism accusations that have plagued the show. From dismissing minority voices that don't align with their political agenda to doubling down on C, it's clear they're walking a dangerous line. Critics have often called them out for preaching tolerance while practicing the exact opposite. A while back, Rosie O'Donnell, who used to be a host on The View, spilled the tea on Goldberg and the show at large. Rosie's narrative took a turn as she revealed her initial exit was a result of her clashes with other members of the show. But upon her return, it was Whoopi who emerged as the thorn in her side. Their clashes weren't just everyday disagreements. They revolved around some pretty dark and controversial topics.
I have a black kid I raised, Whoopi! I have a kid in my house!
That is not the
You don't have to be black to know what racism
Yes,
is.
you do.
No, you don't.
Yes, you do,
no,
baby.
You do not.
Let's get into the nitty-gritty of their infamous feud. Rosie dropped some serious tea about her clashes with Whoopi, and it all seemed to blow up around their disagreement over you-know-whose essay case. But the tension didn't stop there. Rosie also claimed that The View ignored heavy-hitting topics like the Marcus B. documentary on Abu Ghraib, U.S. allegations, and the essay controversy that had everyone talking. Apparently, Rosie was stunned when Whoopi straight up refused to discuss these issues on air, even as the legal drama unfolded for the world to see. The breaking point came in 2007 when ABC pulled the plug on Rosie's contract, effectively ending her time on the show. But that wasn't the last of the fireworks. In 2020, Rosie spilled more details during a chat with Howard Stern, admitting that her relationship with Whoopi was rocky from day one.
From day one, she was upset with, I threw the commercial because I didn't know that she saw the countdown. The guy was going like this.
In the juicy tell-all Ladies Who Punch, the explosive story of The View by Ramin Satude, Rosie didn't hold back. She spilled more tea about her rocky time with Whoopi, describing her as far from friendly. Rosie was blunt, calling Whoopi's on-air attitude mean as anyone has ever been on television to me personally. She even admitted that watching old clips of herself alongside Whoopi made the negativity feel almost palpable. But let's be real. Whoopi's vibe wasn't just a problem during heated exchanges on air. It bled into her controversial opinions, too. Remember that Bill Cosby debacle? Yeah, we're circling back to that mess right now.
Yesterday we talked about Cosby, and I said what I've always said. Innocent until proven guilty in the United States of America, because that's our law. So people have been coming after me.
Few people defended Bill Cosby when he was accused of D'ing and Aing women. But Whoopi Goldberg was one of those few detractors. I'm sorry. Having been on both sides of this where people allege that you do something, it doesn't matter now. The cat is out of the bag. People have it in their heads. I have a lot of questions for the lady. Maybe she'll come on, Goldberg said of one of Cosby's accusers on The View. She went on to doubt why the accuser sought a lawyer as opposed to telling the police. Perhaps the police might have believed it, Goldberg said. Or the hospital where you go. And don't you do a kit when you say someone has RED you? Isn't that the next step once you make an allegation? Then, Goldberg questioned the veracity of settlements being tantamount to guilt, arguing that Cosby may have settled with alleged victims to protect his family. Her then co-host interjected to side with Cosby's accusers, pointing out that our kits would not have been available to our survivors at the time the alleged attacks took place.
Well, here's the deal. This is The View, and that was my opinion.
They woke up and said, I want to ruin Bill Cosby today?
Maybe.
Okay.
I'm sick of this bull. Here's the bottom line. For me, it's my opinion.
And here's where things take an even wilder turn. People are starting to connect the dots between Monique and the ongoing drama surrounding Diddy. She's been spotted in some questionable situations recently, and rumors are flying that her name might pop up in connection to the chaos unfolding around him. You know how Hollywood's always been this glitzy, glamorous playground where the rich throw on designer fits? hit cocktail parties, and act like the world isn't crumbling outside? Yeah, well, it looks like their little rulebook is finally biting them back hard. And right now, it seems like the heat is all on Sean Diddy Combs.
So when I get Whoopi Goldberg on the flip saying, them little ones coming behind you, you better give a damn.
Lately, it feels like every person in his orbit is getting hit with some messy karma. And not just randoms, we're talking the big guns too. Jay-Z, Beyonce, TD Jakes, the whole elite crew seems to be on shaky ground. But here's where it gets juicy. There's one celeb who's been rubbing shoulders with these heavyweights and somehow dodging the spotlight until now. Yep, none other than Whoopi Goldberg. And Monique just blew the lid off something wild that puts Whoopi right in the middle of this whole Diddy mess.
Was that really genuine? See, when no one's watching, who are you? To when everyone's watching. And we got a chance to see him when no one was watching.
Whoopi Goldberg has been spotted getting real close with Diddy lately, and now people are saying she might have even been at one of those infamous Diddy freak-offs. Yeah, those wild anything-goes parties that have been whispered about for years. Honestly, it's kind of nerve-wracking to imagine Whoopi wrapped up in that mess. But let's be real, nothing shocks anyone anymore. At this point, Hollywood's skeletons are practically parading down Sunset Boulevard. It feels like the whole facade is crumbling, like someone finally yanked the curtain back on Tinseltown's dirtiest little secrets. And now, nobody is safe from the public microscope. With all these bombshells dropping, it's about time the industry faces some real talk and accountability.
For 8 years, my family has suffered and my career has suffered because what I would not allow those entities to do was bully me. And because I didn't allow the bullying to happen, this is now what I stood in.
Monique is not playing around in her fight against Hollywood's power players. She's been calling out the big dogs, Oprah Winfrey, Tyler Perry, and Lee Daniels, for allegedly trying to shut her out just because she's standing her ground and demanding equal pay. And it's not just Netflix that's in her crosshairs. Monique isn't holding back in her fight against Hollywood heavyweights. She's been calling out big names like Oprah Winfrey, Tyler Perry, and Lee Daniels, accusing them of blackballing her for standing her ground and demanding fair pay. And Netflix? Yeah, they're still firmly in her sights. But things took a whole new turn recently when Monique set her sights on Whoopi Goldberg, letting it all out in a no-holds-barred interview. If you thought this was just another Hollywood spat, think again. Monique came armed with receipts, ready to hold everyone accountable. When she appeared on The View to talk about her battles with Oprah, Perry, Daniels, and Netflix over alleged discrimination, the tension was palpable. You didn't just watch the drama unfold, you could feel it through the screen.
I think there's a few reasons why. Number one, it was the messenger. I should just be grateful I got invited to the party. You a big, fat, black woman.
Later, Monique appeared on The View, Whoopi Goldberg's show, to discuss her public fallout with a few of Hollywood's biggest names, including Winfrey, Perry, and Daniels, as well as her discrimination claims against Netflix. But their discussion quickly turned sour. During the chat, Monique spoke of believing Winfrey, Perry, and Daniels contributed to her being blackballed in Hollywood. According to the Oscar-winning actor, she began receiving fewer offers for work after declining to do international press for the film Precious. Daniels directed the film, and both Winfrey and Perry helped to promote it.
Then when I start getting calls from Lee Daniels, Tyler Perry, Winfrey, and Lionsgate, and they wanted me to come work for free.
As a result, Monique said major companies began to undermine her value, including Netflix. At the time, she was in a legal battle with the streaming platform over gender bias and discrimination based on race. She alleges the streaming company did not give her an adequate offer for a comedy special due to her being a black woman. Goldberg disagreed with Monique's stance. During the interview, Goldberg told Monique that she was misguided in her approach. Per Monique, their conversation continued in Goldberg's dressing room, in which Monique says Goldberg made disparaging remarks about her husband, who is also her manager.
What you can't do, Monique, is go against the grain. You can't go against this machine. And because your husband is a proud black man, and he wants answers that they cannot give, you need to let him go.
Goldberg allegedly told Monique that she needed to focus solely on herself and not create a movement for equality for those who come after her. Despite walking away from the conversation with Goldberg disheartened, Monique insisted she wasn't upset. Instead, she said Goldberg was the misguided one and hinted that Goldberg lacks integrity. During an interview on Fox Soul's Out Loud with Claudia Jordan, Monique discussed her issues with Whoopi Goldberg and shared a time when The View co-host gave her disheartening advice. According to Monique, Whoopi blamed the precious fallout on Monique's husband manager, Sidney Hicks. Whoopi allegedly said, "It's your husband. You gotta get rid of your husband. Listen, you better stop worrying about that little girl coming behind you, and you better worry about you."
What I was saying was, as I was looking into her eyes, as she said to me, "It's your husband. You got to get rid of your husband." And I said, "Whoopi, my husband negotiated the biggest deals I've had in my career."
But wait, it gets even messier. Well, as you can see the moment when Joy Behar exchanged words with the Oscar-winning actor Matthew McConaughey, leaving him visibly puzzled. This sparked speculation among people that something unusual was happening between them. This incident harkened back to a situation in the 2000s when Matthew had massaged Joy's foot. This time, she unexpectedly placed her foot in front of him for a massage. Moreover, there was another tense moment that unfolded during this interaction. This argument sparked numerous speculations, primarily centering around allegations of Joy's negative behavior and rudeness on the set. The situation unfolded when the Oscar-winning star apparently made an appearance on the long-running talk show to promote his new book, Just Because. During his visit, McConaughey decided to give Behar a foot massage. However, this peculiar moment occurred after the 80-year-old's co-hosts reminded viewers of the first time the actor massaged Behar's foot back on the March 10, 2006 episode of the series. Almost 2 decades ago, McConaughey had rubbed Behar's feet while they were resting on co-host Elizabeth Hasselbeck's lap. Reportedly, McConaughey then took Behar's feet into his hands right at the Hot Topics table. Behar described the 2006-foot massage as a highlight of her life, while McConaughey massaged her toes. The Oscar winner immediately went to work, sharing a personal anecdote about his father's history with massaging his dates as he began rubbing her foot. People suggested that it may not have been a highlight for Matthew, as he appeared visibly uncomfortable throughout the entire foot massage. When Matthew watched the clip, he said, "Now you know where I got this from. This is my dad's trick." Behar mentioned that she had gotten a pedicure specifically for his appearance. The Hollywood star added, "Now, if you remember what that was inspired from, my dad would do this. I've got 2 older brothers. Every time we had a date come over, we noticed they'd come over earlier and earlier. We're going out at 8 and they'd show up at 7. Who's sitting on the couch getting a foot rub? Your date. My dad would always give me a foot rub." Behar was more than satisfied with his performance and jokingly suggested that reflexology could be his next career. But some people suggested something else. One of them wrote, "When is Hollywood going to wake up and realize that America doesn't like them or care what they think? We only love the characters they play, plus the more they talk, the less we watch of their characters." Anyways, it was Whoopi Goldberg who tried to segue into the next topic by saying, "I'm just going to let all of that go by." However, it wasn't all happy memories and relaxing foot rubs during McConaughey's appearance. Later in the episode, Behar and McConaughey shared a tense moment after the co-host claimed that the actor was anti-gun. The comment came during a question about whether or not he thought he could be elected to political office in Texas. McConaughey has spoken about responsible gun ownership before. He responded by telling Behar that she was engaging in a game he was not interested in playing. Matthew further said, "As far as office, I will always measure what category I can be most useful." He further asked Joy that she really thinks he could have been selected in Texas for anti-gun. This appeared to hit a nerve for McConaughey, who pondered the question for a moment before pointing his finger at Behar. He mentioned that when it comes to politics, he avoids making direct statements and playing games he's not interested in playing. Behar, who appeared visibly flustered, advised McConaughey that he had the option to remain silent if he chose not to speak on the matter. The show then went to a commercial break, and upon its return, the co-host briefly revisited the topic of McConaughey's stance on guns. Upon returning from a commercial break for a segment that unveiled a wax figure resembling McConaughey, co-host Sunny Hostin broached the topic once more. "I did want to say that I've done a lot of research in terms of your advocacy, and I don't know that you're anti-gun. I think you're pro-gun responsibility and legislation," Hostin said. The panelists then proceeded to unveil the wax figure. The connection between this matter and Matthew McConaughey is that he has been an advocate for gun reform. McConaughey, who was born and raised in Uvalde, Texas, witnessed a mass shooting in 2022 in which 19 children and 2 teachers lost their lives. Following this tragedy, he visited the White House to appeal to both Democrats and Republicans for gun reform.
We want secure and safe schools, and we want gun laws that won't make it so easy for the bad guys to get these damn guns.
During this visit, McConaughey expressed strong emotions and argued that the Second Amendment was being exploited by deranged individuals, stating that responsible gun owners were becoming frustrated with the situation. McConaughey's stance on gun reform suggests that he may not support extremely strict gun control measures advocated by far-left individuals like Bihar.
These are the same green Converse on her feet that turned out to be the only clear evidence that could identify her after the shooting. How about that?
Therefore, it's understandable that he objected to being labeled as anti-gun. If McConaughey were to enter politics in the future, his positions on various issues, including gun control, would be a subject of interest and debate. Now, when he clearly cleared his stance, Joy still went on to discuss the topic. People said that his expressions totally explained what he was feeling at that time. Now, this is not the first time Joy has been rude and negative on the set. There are several tales of her behavior. These reports about Joy Behar's alleged rudeness and diva-like behavior behind the scenes have surfaced in recent months. It's worth noting that Joy temporarily took on the role of moderator for Whoopi Goldberg, who was absent due to illness. During her time as moderator, there were instances where she interrupted her co-hosts and abruptly shut down the show.
Blackmailing is negative, black sheep, negative. I can think of a few others if I had the time, but those words are kind of like embedded.
The ABC show shared a comparison photo on Instagram featuring Joy Behar wearing the same suit, with the pictures taken 20 years apart. The first photo was captured in 2004, while the second one was from the show's November 10th broadcast. Aside from the shoes being different, the photos were remarkably similar. Fans couldn't help but notice that she hasn't aged a day, and even her View co-hosts were impressed by the fact that she still fits into the same suit after 2 decades. During the live show, Joy revealed that she has a special closet for designer items. "I'm a little grouchier. Noises annoy me more," Joy Behar said. "I've always been a little grouchy. It's always been my personality. I believe that negativity is funny. Positivity is not funny." Joy Behar's co-host shared a laugh and expressed agreement with her, indicating that she was sincere in her comments about her special closet for designer items. Well, critics have noticed her behavior since ages. One of them wrote, "The fact that Joy Behar is paid good money to give her opinions is concrete proof that literally anything is possible in this country." Insiders also claim that Joy Behar displayed diva-like behavior and gave the cold shoulder to others. This behavior emerged alongside rumors of her allegedly snapping at a crew member. Fans observed a negative demeanor from Joy during a game of the $100,000 pyramid with guest Michael Strahan and co-host Sarah Haynes.
What's his name that does this? It's a Mania, a WrestleMania. Yeah, that's it.
She frequently made sarcastic jokes and stuck out her tongue during the game. Additionally, Joy appeared frustrated when Sarah didn't guess the correct answers. The opposing team didn't perform well in the game either. Some fans noticed that Sunny gave Alyssa a side-eye at one point, highlighting their past feuds on the talk show. With Whoopi's controversies and Joy Behar's connections stirring the pot, it's hard not to wonder what's really going on behind the scenes. Are Diddy and Oprah silently pulling the strings? That's it for today. See you in the next video. Until then, goodbye.